All right. Thank you for listening to World Extermination Radio, the alternative Doom radio, where we talk about Doom, the 1993 game Doom, and level design and mapping and the Doom community and all kinds of stuff, whatever we feel like talking about. And as always, I'm John Vail. I go by 40 Ounce on Doom World, and I'm here with my main Space Marine, Tanner West, who goes by Splatterhouse on Doom World.
Yeah.
And
what's up?
Yeah, man, we have a very special episode today. We're here with somebody who I consider to be very influential to me, especially as a level designer. I'm here today with Plutonia Experiment's Dario Casali.
That's me. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, we're really happy to hear from you and to talk to you about all kinds of stuff about Final Doom and whatever you're up to now. I understand you're working at Valve. You've been working at Valve for like 21 years?
Yep, since November '96. Which was coming up on 21 years.
Wow, that's crazy. So
that's awesome.
What is your primary job there? What do you do?
I've gone. I would say I've stuck to level design mostly over the years. Dipped my toe into some programming and some UI design, a little bit of art stuff, but mostly I just still really, really like level design. And game design, some of the work it's been a really long time that I've been there. I worked on a lot of different projects. So sometimes I went from just doing level design to doing like broader game design and scripting and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Like working on Man vs. Machine for Team Fortress 2, like doing a lot of the scripting and the higher level gameplay for that.
Oh, cool. What other games have you worked on that we might know?
Half-Life 1, Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 2, Left 4 Dead 1, Left 4 Dead 2, Portal 2, Team Fortress Classic, Team Fortress 2.
Wow, that's a pretty long list. That's some pretty amazing stuff, too.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff. So that's been keeping me busy over the years.
That's cool, man. So out of all those games, which one did you have the most fun working on?
Oh man, Left 4 Dead 2 is really fun because that game we had to put that game out in a year, so we had really tight constraints, and it was a pretty fun set of mechanics to work with. And when you don't set your sights too high on like inventing new gameplay systems, you can really use what was already like the foundation that was already laid. And that really reminded me of the Doom games where we had, the Doom years where we had really tight constraints. Like the game was really simple.
Yeah.
And you just had to kind of make the most of what you had with that really simple toolkit. So Left 4 Dead 2 really reminded me of that.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun project.
That's what I find so fascinating about level design for Doom is because the gameplay in Doom is already so fun and addictive as it is. You just kind of mix things up, use different kinds of monsters or different kinds of weapons and whatever, and you can get all kinds of different results.
Yeah, and you can get to them really quickly too.
Yes. Yeah.
So experiment really quickly.
Let me ask you, what exactly did you do for Left 4 Dead 2? Did you actually do just strictly level design, or did you do any kind of like mechanic work?
Yes. So level design for Left 4 Dead 2 it's fairly straightforward as far as the building of the levels go, because there's not really any there's not much scripting at all in like moment-to-moment scripting, because the director does most of that. So we have the director decides when things are going to happen, and you just basically set up like a playground, really, for the director to throw its stuff at the players. So we did mess with the director's parameters a little bit and came up with some new ideas for him, but mostly it was really just trying to lay out a course that would really serve the gameplay of the 4 survivors trying to get out without being wasted by the zombies. And the multiplayer component too is really fun to design for the versus mode, where you'd have 4 player-controlled zombies against 4 player-controlled survivors.
Yeah.
So mostly that really was just level design with a little bit of scripting thrown in.
I love that game. That's why I asked.
Left 4 Dead 2. You played some of that.
Played a lot. Yeah.
That was a really fun game to playtest too, because you just have some ridiculous comedy moments where everything goes wrong, and despite the best intentions. So that was a really fun game to playtest.
That's cool, man. So like, outside of like video game design and stuff that you do for Valve, do you do any like other kind of like hobby projects or anything, or mostly that?
Yeah, oddly enough, most of my hobby projects, gaming-wise, end up in Valve games over the years. But recently, outside of Valve, no, nothing really game-centric hobby projects-wise. More like real-life stuff.
Like what? What do you do outside of like video gaming and stuff?
Outside of video game, well, I've been building this house for a while, and I moved in a few weeks ago.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice. So that's a much bigger project than anybody can imagine.
Oh yeah. I'm a homeowner myself, and I that's something I've made so many like Doom levels over the years. I've made I probably close to 100, and what I was surprised when you actually move into your own house and actually begin to work on it, things that maybe take like a few seconds, like if you're changing like the floor texture on the floor or something, or moving a vertex somewhere, it might take only a few seconds of your time. It takes like days and days to do to a house and costs tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. In real life, yeah.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have a VR system, the Vive, set up in my old house, so I built the entire new house in VR in the Source 2 engine, which is surprisingly realistic. So I've been kind of wandering around my new house in virtual reality for 6 to 8 months before it actually showed up for real.
Wow, that's amazing.
So that was a fun side project.
That's cool.
I got kind of obsessive about that.
I can imagine how cool it would be to like create your dream home in virtual reality and actually live in it. That's crazy.
It's amazing technology for that very specific purpose. I couldn't, every time I showed the builders that, and I showed coworkers that, and I just thought, wow, this is incredible technology for visualizing what a space that doesn't exist yet is going to look like. The light rendering is perfect. The materials are super high res, and it's really eerie. It's really cool, actually. I would love to be able to get back to some of those Doom maps and actually VR walk through them. I mean, they'd be kind of blocky, but you still get this really crazy sense of scale when you're in VR. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
So yeah, that's a bit of a hobby the last year or two.
Mm.
Nice.
Well, between us, we're huge Doom fans, and we still even after 23 years, we're still playing this game.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I picked up the game.
I'm never tired of playing Doom ever.
Yeah.
No, I just had other things that got in the way of my playing Doom.
Yeah, right. I wanted to ask you about that. When do you think was the last time you played Doom?
Actually, it wasn't that long ago. Probably 5 years ago.
Oh, that's
because
cool.
That does sound like a long time ago if you play it every week. But for me, I had this friend at Valve, Mike Dussault, who always boasted about being this incredibly good Doom player. And I just thought, there's no way this guy could be as good as me. I played so much in the day, and I even came second in the UK Doom tournament. So I won this really cool Soundbuster 16-bit video card. But if I'd won the entire tournament, I would have gone to Texas and played. I think it was Thresh or somebody won that Ferrari. Somebody won Carmack's Ferrari.
That name sounds familiar. I think that's him.
One guy removed from that, which is kind of sad. So anyway, this guy Mike, he kept talking shit to me for years. So eventually, he installed Doom on a couple of computers at his house, and we went at it. And I destroyed him. But it was fun. As you should. Everything came back. The shotgun duels and just how ridiculous the plasma rifle is.
Yeah,
really, really fun.
That's awesome, man. What were those competitions like? That sounds like a lot of fun. I've read about them before, but I can imagine they would have been amazing.
They were. It was really weird. I just thought to myself, man, I'm a cocky oh God, I think I was 20 years old, or maybe 19. It's really cocky because I'd played so much Doom. I just thought, I'm going to take this competition, no problem. But it was inside this Earl's Court exhibition center in like an electronics exhibition or something like that. So there's all this stuff going on, so you couldn't hear anything. Just standing at a desk. And mind you, this is like 1994.
Right.
So that it wasn't polished like probably competitions these days are. So you're standing up at this thing, and like this is a mouse you've never used before, and can't get the sensitivity right. So it's kind of difficult to play well under those conditions. But I remember the last guy I played he brought this giant mouse pad because he only used the mouse. He didn't use the mouse and the keyboard. So I think he was just kind of rolling the mouse forward and backwards furiously on this giant mouse pad. He needed all of that square footage to move his mouse around the level. And I thought, wow, that's got to be
really hard.
Most awkward possible way to play this game. But he actually turned out to be pretty good. But yeah, it was really weird kind of competition. Walked away with a sound blaster though.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun experience.
Back in those days, it was very, very cool.
That's cool, man. Can I ask you, have you ever played the new Doom? The new Doom 2016?
So recently, I can't remember what brought me to this, but recently I started watching a YouTube guy called Big Mac Davis go through Final Doom and actually Half-Life as well. And I think he was running on the new Doom, but I haven't actually played it. But if I'm talking about the same thing, isn't it a really faithful reproduction of the original?
Oh no, you might be thinking of like a source port or something. I'm talking about
that might have been it. Yeah, that might have been it.
There's id Software made or ZeniMax Studios made like a new like reboot of Doom.
But that was yes.
Bethesda.
Bethesda, yeah. I did not play that. No.
Bethesda, yeah.
I
Have you seen like videos and stuff of it?
That was a really busy time, so I never actually played it.
Oh, okay.
How was it?
It's really good. I enjoyed it. It's different than what you would expect in a normal Doom, but there are some ways that it stays like pretty faithful. Like it keeps all the weapons, and they kind of do like the monsters do about the same, or the guns do about the same amount of damage to the monsters that you would expect it to.
Even the double barrel?
Yeah, the double barrel is pretty powerful. It's really handy too.
Okay. That's great.
The one in Doom 2 is like pretty overpowered, but
yeah, definitely.
So
that's what made it so great, though.
Right. Yeah, they did do some things to like kind of change some stuff around, but mostly it's pretty faithful. But they do make it like extremely brutal. They have these things called like glory kills, which are like
yeah.
They're like
isn't that the only way you can get ammo or something off dead creatures?
Not the only way, but it's one of the ways that you have to.
Yeah, it's an effective way to like restore your health and stuff like that. But yeah, they're equivalents to like fatalities in Mortal Kombat. So like
how does that work?
Yeah, they're really gory.
So you shoot some monsters, and then like they have like kind of like a woozy like concussion state, and then like you see them kind of like wobbling around, and then you run up to them and you press I was playing on the PlayStation 4, so you press the thumbstick in, and then you just rip out his spine immediately, or just like crack his like. Or just punch him in the face or break his jaw, stuff like that.
That does sound quite Doomish.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different concept, but it adds to like the violence that you would expect in the Doom game. They wanted to go like pretty over the top because I guess Doom was like pretty controversial for its time.
How was it as far as what I thought made Doom really amazing was how it was kind of like the dynamicism of it, the movement of the player around large spaces with different varieties of enemies and different varieties of weapons to take care of them, and just like to me the biggest part of Doom was just the movement, like the fast movement, the kind of the feel that you have very precise control over your character, and I don't know, it seemed to me like a large number of enemies in interesting spaces in the foreground and the distance. And some of the long distance weapons, like all of that kind of put together made what I thought was really awesome about Doom.
Yes.
But when I played Doom 3, I think it was, I just think they lost a lot of that essence when it became very claustrophobic and, 2 or 3 enemies at once.
Yeah, Doom 4
Doom 4
did answer to that. What they did is you do move pretty fast. I wouldn't say as fast as you do in Doom 1 and 2, but it's pretty close. And it's much faster than you are in Doom 3. And they do give you some like cool maneuverability things, like you can double jump, and there's like a way you can automatically like grapple to things. So if there's like a crate or something and you jump up to it, your guy will climb over it, just like pretty automatically. So you're very rarely like bumping into walls and stuff like that, and you move pretty quickly, and it's a lot of fireball dodging, which is pretty fun, and which I consider pretty important for Doom 2. But what they do is you don't deal with as many monsters as you would in Doom 1 and 2. You can't have as many actors on the screen at once. So what they do is they made the monsters like really acrobatic and really dangerous. So they can like really mess you up really fast. So they
actually had AI then, rather than just running mindlessly at you.
Yes, right. Yeah, like the monsters in Doom 1 and 2 are basically zombies. They just walk towards you. But these ones are like, they're jumping off of walls, they're climbing on stuff, and they're like doing somersaults in the air and throwing fireballs at you. All kinds of crazy stuff. And it just makes it very exciting and chaotic. So you have to keep moving. If you stand still, like you will die very shortly. So I
really should play it, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a fun gameplay experience. I enjoyed it a lot.
It's fun. It's not as good as the classic Doom. Like once I finished it, I was like, all right, time to play,
back to it again.
Yeah. But it's fun for a change.
So what version of Doom do you play these days then?
Doom 2.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're not running through a DOS emulator or anything, are you? How do you run it?
Okay, so what's going on in the Doom community? We have, we just have like a source port war on Doom World recently. There's on the forums, nerds get argue about all kinds of stuff, and so we have source ports that are very faithful to DOSBox, such as Chocolate Doom, or like I think there's one called Retro Doom, and there's a couple others I can't think of.
PR Boom, I think.
PR Boom is pretty close. That's like kind of in the middle. There's another compatibility level called Boom. And then there's another source port family called ZDoom. And ZDoom is a little more extreme. It adds a lot more extra features and stuff, especially to level design and scripting and all that kind of stuff. You can make like pretty much a game from scratch using something like ZDoom. And so Boom's in the middle, and then there's like I would say the majority of people on Doom World are playing at the original level, like at the original like vanilla kind of style level. But it's kind of divided. There's some people that play on Z. A lot of the new people who play Doom, who are just getting into Doom recently, are playing on like Z Doom and stuff. So there's what makes Doom what makes it last so long, especially, is because there's so many people making levels for it. There's just an infinite amount of levels. I mean, just in 1994 alone, there's been many hundreds, probably close to thousands. And
that's so love that.
Yeah, and since the new Doom game came out, that kind of like created a boom of new people joining the Doom community too. So there's a lot of new people making levels too. So there's no shortage of gameplay for Doom. I told you I made like close to 100, and I've talked to mappers and stuff on this show before who've made close to 100 as well. And
that's pretty significant. Yeah. That's a lot. Yeah.
I think
that's how many years?
I'm sorry?
How many years have you been doing it?
I started around like 2007, I think. And I've kind of slowed down since I got married and moved into my own place, but I'd like to get back into it eventually.
Yeah, marriage can do that.
Are you married yourself?
Not anymore, no.
Oh, no? I'm sorry to hear that. Okay. I wanted to ask you, because I wanted to talk, mainly what we brought you onto the show to talk a little bit about Final Doom Plutonia Experiment. What's Milo up to? Have you been talking about recently?
Milo. He has worked for several game companies up in Vancouver, Canada. And he is just about to move to Toronto. He just got a job at Ubisoft.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he's moving. He used to be a couple of hours down the road from me, but now he's going to go all the way to the east.
That's cool.
Yeah, he worked at Barking Dog, and then I think that became Rockstar North, maybe? No, Rockstar North is in the UK, so it was just Rockstar Vancouver, I think they called it. and then he worked at Slant 6, and then he did his own thing for a little while. Now he's going to Ubisoft.
Oh, that's cool. So you still keep in touch with him? That's good.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you guys worked on Plutonia Experiment together. What was that like? How did the mapping process go? I know you guys like kind of split it down the middle.
Yeah, we made sure to do that. Everything was going to be split down the middle. It was a really fun project. It was we just lived and breathed Doom back in those days, and we would play it constantly, till 4 or 6 a.m. And we just had this, this ravenous hunger for building more and more and more and more Doom maps because we played so much. So we had built quite a few of our own maps. I would say probably 6 or 7 each. When Team TNT got created on one of the Usenet groups, Doom editing Usenet, whatever it was. So we thought, this is great. We can just submit our maps to this, and then people other than just the two of us will be able to play these. Because we didn't have an internet connection back then. I was working at this company in Reading. They had an internet connection. I was like, isn't that cool? So we submitted those maps to Team TNT, and then I think as soon as id was interested in that project, the dynamic of the makeup of the maps changed quite a bit, and a few of our maps were dropped from the episode. And we thought, wow, but we've got these maps sitting around here, and we just kept on building more and more of them. So I contacted id, and I said, we're Milo and I are going to release all of these maps. And I think there were 8 of them at that point. We're going to release these maps to the internet, but I thought I'd send them to you first in case there's anything you want to do with them. And that was Sean Green, and Sean said that, hey, if you can make 32 of these by, I think it was the end of December, and that was 3 months from when he sent me that email.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so we had to do a map a week. He said, if you can make 32 of these by the end of the year, then we'll release it in its own episode. I thought, of course we're going to do that. We'll work as hard as we can. So it was actually it was difficult toward the end, but to begin with, it was pretty easy because you just come up with some ideas and you can make them pretty fast in Doom maps.
That's pretty crazy.
So I think I might have made more than one a week to begin with. But as time goes on, you start losing ideas, so you start running out of ideas.
Yeah, well, given the short amount of time you had, you did pretty good,
Thanks. It was fun. It was a real rush. Having that honor bestowed upon us, this is it. These are our absolute, these are the masterminds behind this amazing experience that we love so much. So it's like, this is a huge honor. So we're going to work as hard as we could.
That's crazy.
So we worked day and night for that.
That's awesome.
But it wasn't easy though. Yeah, toward the end, it was. I just wanted to throw my computer out the window. I just didn't want to ever see a Doom editor again.
Did you expect it to be as popular as it is now?
No, I haven't really lifted my head up far enough to even think about that. I just wanted to get the job done, and just between the two of us, Milo would make something, and I would look at it and I go, "Oh crap, that is so much better than anything that I could do." So I'd be just kind of basically chasing him and try to outdo him at every turn, and then he would see something that I'd done and he'd be trying to outdo me. So I guess that's pretty good that we had that competition going between ourselves.
That's pretty cool.
To inspire each other. Yeah, it's pretty fun. But a lot of late nights at university when I should have probably been socializing. I wasn't. Neither was he. I think he was in high school at the time, actually.
Well,
he would have been 18, 17.
Yeah, my high school years were a lot like that too. I got really enveloped in like designing levels for Doom. That was my escape. It was just fun.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, and we had a group of friends back home that we would all bring our computers to this one guy's house, and we just have an incredibly fun 8-10 hours of just playing as much as we possibly could. So it was a real. We had this little community that we just all could never get enough of it.
That's pretty amazing.
Been, one of the first LAN party, the first LAN party experience I've ever had. That was like 93 or 94 or whatever it was.
That's awesome.
Couldn't get enough of it though.
Yeah, Plutonia is really it really holds up. It's very fun to play, and it's
Thank you.
Probably one of the most difficult map sets that are like official id Software products, and I think
I hear that a lot.
Yeah, there was on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like Revenants?
Well, see, they're so useful as a gameplay tool because you can put them in the mid distance, and it's really tough. You have to bring out your rocket launcher because you can't really shoot them at distance with much else. Yeah. And then if you bring your rocket launcher out, you better not have any demons or anything in the near ground. You're going to blow yourself up. So they are really useful.
Yes.
Area of denial of large areas. So yeah, we love those guys. And we made the maps really hard because we played so much that we wanted something that was going to be a challenge, because we'd play maps and we'd just kind of zombie our way through them without really breaking a sweat, and we really wanted to break a sweat, so we kept that's the kind of experience we were going for. And then Milo did the insane secret level Go To It. And I thought, what the hell are you doing? This is ridiculous. And that ended up being, okay, so that's the only way we can break a sweat now, is these ridiculous maps with massive numbers of monsters in them.
That's awesome. Why slaughter maps are a thing now,
Yes, yeah. And
I'm one of those people.
It's nuts what is ridiculous.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It's so much fun to deal with that many monsters at once and just blow them away with the rocket launcher. That's what Doom's about.
That was rad. That was a great idea. That was all Milo.
Yeah, about Go To It. I have a kind of a specific question for you. Are you familiar with Doom the way it did?
The way it did. What is that?
Okay, so this was a Doom project that came out in Doom World. It was a community-driven thing. So a lot of people design maps that are based. They're inspired by levels that they've played. So like a very common level set that people will do is they'll make maps based on like the first episode. So they'll make like some kind of like Return to Phobos type thing, and a lot of people get their inspiration from other places too. Like there's actually been sequels for Plutonia. Actually, there's an unofficial sequel called Plutonia 2. There's another one called Plutonia Revisited. I actually hosted a project called Plutonia 1024, which was a project that was it was a community project where you had to design levels in a size constraint. So we nicknamed it Plutonia. There's also like the Mercuria Experiment, Urania. There's so many levels that are based on like other stuff. So anyway,
that's really flattering.
Yeah. So anyway, so when it comes to people making maps that are inspired by particular maps, they tend to add their own flair to it. Like they might use a little more monsters than the original level designer had, or they might use a little more detail, or work on the lighting a little bit better, or something like that. And it'll ultimately make an experience that feels different than how it felt like when you played it for the first time. So the mission statement for Doom the way it did was to create a project where you would design maps following the mapping traits of the original maps that made it. So like we would remake Doom 1 and try to copy the style of John Romero and Sandy Peterson and American McGee as much as possible. And so Doom the way it did came out, and there was also a Doom 2 the way it did, and that came out a few years ago too. And there's a final Doom the way it did that's currently in development, but it's kind of like stagnating. So the question I wanted to ask you is about Go To It, because that's based on the level design is based on Entryway.
Yeah.
Yes. Is it true that there was someone made an observation that almost all the levels in Plutonia are inspired by some level from Doom 1 or Doom 2? Is that true?
No, that's not true. We really like the music from. I think all of the music was taken from Doom 1.
Yeah.
So that's true.
But there's a couple levels, for example. There was one that's like looks a lot like Circle of Death. I forget which one it's called. I think it's called Realm or something.
Realm, or maybe a courtyard. Well,
yeah,
the courtyard has kind of a similar idea where you're in one space and you access different parts of it at different times. But I don't think. I mean, obviously, we played their stuff a lot, so we're probably indirectly inspired by them.
Yeah.
But we tried really hard to create brand like really unfamiliar stuff as much as we could.
Oh, okay.
We created some new material sets to try to influence ourselves about how to what kind of settings we wanted to use. There may have been the odd one or two that were influenced by a couple of id maps. I definitely wouldn't be surprised at that.
Yeah.
But a lot of them, like it's number one, the Soul Well, right? Also the Well of the Soul Well, that was influenced by Predator and Indiana Jones.
Nice. Really. That's awesome. I also wanted to ask you about that. Some people, they consider that there's like Doom doesn't have like a very in-depth storyline, or at least it's pretty abstract. Like it's not really in your face.
Yeah, it's secondary. Yeah.
Yeah, like they have like those story interludes that come at the end of each episode, but that's pretty much all you get. I think you can read like the manuals, and people have like tried to write like fan fiction and stuff about it. So people say like the correct order to play Doom is to play Ultimate Doom episodes 1 through 4, and then play Doom 2, and then play TNT Evolution, and then play Plutonia Experiment. Like that's kind of like the story canon, I guess, the chronological order of playing it. Does Plutonia Experiment have like any sort of like a storyline backing it up?
It does, yeah. Those little diamond-shaped teleports that are always at the beginning and end of each level.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm really pushing my brain back now, 20 years. But I might actually run out of what I was going to say. That's but okay. Yes, we started out with the synopsis of the aliens taking control of these teleport gates and then infiltrating Earth with them. And those were the gates. Those were the little gates that you always had, the little grey gates with a diamond-shaped light in the middle of them. They were always the ones that you had to take because we wanted to differentiate our beginning and our end, and we wanted to make the end always recognizable. So you'd see this thing, and at every single level, you would know when you got to the exit, rather than the multiple different exits that you would take in Doom 2 or Doom 1. And so we came up with a fiction around that. Actually, Milo came up with that fiction. And then he designed that really simple but really elegant way of getting in and out. Just because we wanted, a lot of those levels ended up being quite complicated, and it really helped to be able to just place this distinct and familiar target or goal in each map. So you could just see that and you go, okay, I'm going to back solve from seeing that thing. And I think the backstory was developed at the same time as that little teleporter thing. And it's nothing groundbreaking. It was, we have to go and shut off this teleport that was coming from another dimension or something. It sounds very stereotypical at this point.
Oh yeah, they're all very.
A little fresher 21 years ago, how long was it? 25 years ago.
Yeah, it's like 22, 23.
20, yeah. Yeah, there's a little less cliche back then, just slightly.
That's okay. That's pretty cool though. Plutonia has kind of like a jungle theme to it, right? Do you consider?
Maps have that.
So like, is like the main character like some kind of like Rambo character? Because it kind of reminds me of something like what I think of the most is when I think of Plutonia, I think of like the vines and stuff that were used. So it almost feels like you're in a jungle. So it's almost like have you ever played Contra, like where you start in the jungle and you like infiltrate this base? That's kind of how I feel when I'm playing it. I feel like I'm like a Rambo character almost, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think back to why we use so many vine sets. Because in the first map it did, and then the bunker had the vine set. Quite a few of them had them. And I'm trying to think about why we like those so much.
It's so
I don't
good
know that it was probably more either Milo or I did a set or a map with that set, and the other one thought, oh, that's kind of cool, I'm going to use that too, but I'm going to try to do it better than him. And maybe we were trying to outdo each other with the same sets. Yeah, I don't really remember why we used so many vines. It could have been again like we were really into Predator in that time. That was all in the jungle, and so was the beginning of Indiana Jones. So maybe we were trying to recreate that kind of atmosphere.
That's pretty awesome.
I actually like that. Yeah. There's viney maps with like a lot of water. The greens and blues are just very pleasing to the eye. So I enjoy those.
Yeah, I think we did want to try to brighten up the color palette a little bit, and we really wanted to create some unique textures. So that we came up with. I know that the vines aren't the same, but we made the sky red, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just trying to liven the palette up a little. And the Doom palette is very restrictive, so it's not easy.
Yeah. Right.
Like 256 colors. So we tried a lot of different looks, but the Doom palette was really kind of it likes a certain set of colors.
Yeah, well, that's gotten pretty popular lately. There's people are like modifying palettes. So, for example, there's a recent, not so recent. I think it came out last year. A project called Ancient Aliens, where they converted like most of the colors to like this pinkish purple color, and so like you don't really it has like a very cool like retro sci-fi theme to it. It's really cool.
Yeah, that does sound cool.
And
we tried to do an Egyptian theme once, and that didn't really work too well. Actually, the Egyptian map that we were working on, or I was working on, ended up in I think it's a secret map in Evolution TNT.
Oh yeah, Pharaoh, yeah.
But if you look at the materials, they're not very good. The textures aren't very good. I think you'll see some kind of bright speckly pieces where the when I converted those textures to the Doom palette, I didn't quite like it too much. So I was really happy with that look.
It's a cool level though. Did you make any other levels in TNT Evolution?
Yeah, I think between us we had 4 or maybe 5. I was thinking, I ran through them on YouTube recently, and I remember making that one, but I don't recall exactly how many, like a handful probably. But like I said, we had quite a few more in there, and before the dynamic shifted to it being a commercial pack.
Yeah,
a lot more interest was raised, a lot more started happening, and
I played I played a couple of your maps in a project called Memento Mori. Do you remember that?
Oh, I do. Yeah, that was even before Evolution. Yep.
That's a great WOD.
Oh yeah, that was okay. So I do remember putting a couple of maps in that, but I couldn't tell you what they were offhand.
Well, do you remember like working on that project? Do you remember like being part of it? Like how exactly did that work? I remember reading about how like you had to submit like a mapping resume to be part of that project or something, right?
I'm trying. I have such tiny, vague memories about Memento Mori. I think what I ended up doing was I just gave them either 1 or 2 maps that we'd already had, like we'd already built.
Oh, okay.
And so I didn't really spend a lot of time working on the project. I think we'd already had a couple of maps sitting around that we were really proud of, and we just thought, well, let's submit these, and I guess they made it in.
Oh,
so I wasn't that intimately familiar with that project.
Oh, okay.
I think that was probably the first time that we sent something in to collaborate with anyone else, and it was just like that was a really cool feeling to get our work side by side with other people who are also really dedicated to the game.
Yeah, we do that.
Absolutely.
We do that in the community too. Like in Doom World, occasionally there will be like a community project. Somebody will like pitch an idea for a story, and they'll like come up with some textures or something to use that'll make the project kind of unique in its own way, and people can just kind of like join in, and they can just like donate maps that they're working on, or they can agree to work on a new map or whatever. And a lot of really cool projects come together that way. And the one I talked about, Plutonia 1024, that was a community-driven project where I just kind of pitched the idea, and people just showed up and made maps for it, and we got a 32 level WOD out of it.
Yeah, isn't that cool how people can share your enthusiasm about an idea and then just kind of all pull together and it gets done? That's just a really great feeling.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
I think when you're working on maps or a project with other mappers that you really respect, I think it kind of makes you like want to put some of your best work into it. You know what I mean? And just like have your work shine out.
Yep. Yeah, because you don't want to let the side down, and you want, like, you see somebody else's quality, and you go, I have to at least meet that quality bar. Otherwise, you're just not going to look that great.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about a very odd level in Plutonia Experiment. I really like it though, but it's just hunted with all the arch vials in the maze.
That famous level.
Yeah,
it's so odd, but I love it, man.
I forget. I'm trying to. There was a very particular moment of inspiration for that map. I'm trying to remember what that was. I think. God, what was it? That's gonna come to me in the middle of the night tonight. I'll wake up and go, oh, that's what I remember. There was a very particular moment where I thought, if the arch vials are teleporting around this maze and you don't really know which way to go, there's only one way you can deal with them, and that's really the super shotgun.
Yeah.
I wish I could recall that moment of inspiration, but it was like a flash. And then I thought, okay, this is a really simple concept. I just have to get the layout to be not incredibly annoying, because mazes can be really annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely got on my nerves at times, but I mean, just I really respect the way that you laid out the trips for all the doors. It just was like it was just perfect. I feel like it was like just enough to make me I want to smash my computer screen, but not enough for me to actually do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I when I was watching this that guy Davis go through, I was just recalling. Wow, I was really brutal in that particular map. I kind of acted like I hated the player, because sometimes you would walk over a trigger and the door would be out of sight. And you had no idea where this door is, but it would let an arch vial into your area. That's pretty bad. But you get the warning up front. You see them all there, and you think, "What the hell are these guys doing there?" And then as soon as you pick up the gun, they all teleport out. That should be the moment where you go, "Oh shit, I'm not looking forward to what's coming next."
Well, that's what's so remarkable about it is you get those warnings, you see all those arc vials right before, when you start in the map. There's no maps in any of Doom 1 or Doom 2, so this is something that's completely unprecedented by a new player. So they walk into a room and they see 30 arc vials all facing the opposite direction. That's terrifying.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
And then you find out when they all teleport, you know that there's something pretty bad coming up.
Yeah, there's such a terrifying feeling, and especially because Doom 2, for example, they give you the super shotgun in the second level, and from there the game gets pretty easy, because if you give the Doom guy a super shotgun, a backpack, and an infinite amount of shells, and maybe a mega armor, he's pretty much indestructible. But when you play something like Hunted, and you see all those arc vials, and you have a super shotgun, you have the weapons to kill him, but holy crap, that is terrifying when you see it for the first time.
You have to do a lot of corner fighting until there are the two arch vials, and you thought you're just fighting one, and then you get flamed, and you think, oh, I'll just hide from the guy in front of me, but really it's the guy behind you who's flaming you, and then you get that surprise. We play tested that map a lot to try to get it as unconfusing as possible.
Yeah,
that was my group of friends who we would take our computers to. We would bring builds of Plutonia there every weekend. That's awesome. That one in particular took a couple more iterations than most, just to get the maze to not be too confusing. But it went down really well every time. People are really excited about that. They see the setup and they think, okay, so something really weird is going to happen here. Then they just have to get out. Well, also, the end of that map is... I have no idea why. I mean, I put that 50-50 chance where you can either just die or...
I was just thinking that, yeah. That was brutal.
Yeah, I guess it's not much of a game. It's just kind of more of an experience at that point where you, I guess I chose the wrong way. I'm going to die now. But I think it puts the player on edge, though. I think it's kind of like the don't give a crap attitude of the design of the game, which makes you feel like you're never really safe.
Yeah. The music in that map is especially like the weirdest
really
application
creepy.
of that music. Yeah.
Yeah, it's taken from the last. It's taken from the exit screen from Doom 1, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's got
Yeah.
that like creepy, dainty music. And
Where there's a rabbit head on a spike or whatever.
oh yeah, that scared the hell out of me when I was a kid.
It's the perfect creepy music for that though.
Yeah, it really gets under your
definitely
skin
is.
when you know you're being chased, and just the title, "Be Hunted," that's awesome. Just an awesome
Yeah, it was
map.
fun to build.
Yeah. Out of all this, besides that one, do you have like any other favorite maps that you remember in Plutonia? Any ones that you had a lot of fun working on?
Gosh, yeah, I really liked Caged, which I think is the fourth map.
Yeah.
I was really happy with how I managed to. Because it's not a very big map. It's just basically an area with a cross in it, crossed corridors.
Yeah.
But I was really happy with how I was able to get the flow through that map and kind of crossing over areas more than once and kind of releasing monsters at certain times. And when you first press that button, you're lowered into the area. You have a lot of threats to deal with, and you have to find the safety point really fast. And I really liked that one. I really liked the multiplayer setup of that map. That was a really fun map to deathmatch in.
It's
I really liked some of the maps that Milo had made as well. The Odyssey of Noises was an awesome achievement.
Yeah.
No idea how he did that, but that was a really awesome map. Yeah, I guess I need to look at it a little closer to try to bring up some memories of some of the other ones. But
that's cool, man. I really like Caged, especially because of it's got a very. I like the something I've been really fascinated with lately is like that kind of a catwalk style where you're kind of like walking across like bridges and stuff, but that makes you very exposed because you can't. There's not as much like floor space for you to move around in, but there's a lot of space for monsters to shoot at you from.
Exactly, yeah.
So it gives you like it kind of like takes away from some control from the player, but not too much control. Not like where you're like bumping into stuff and like not doing what you want to do. But
and that's where favorite revenants come in because they're far enough away that it's hard to hit them, but you're pretty much captive in this linear corridor.
Yeah.
That's where they become really useful.
So like Plutonia is just kind of like a testament of like your Doom skill, right? So like you said earlier that like you considered yourself like pretty awesome at Doom and you played it all the time.
Yeah.
So like
I got to number 2 in that competition. So I knew it was the product of countless hours of playing. But you're right. That was exactly what it was all about. It was I just want more and more challenge. And more interesting, like more and more. I don't want to see the same things over and over. I want to try to come up with new, original ways of using the creatures and original spaces that you hadn't seen before. And just because you play it enough, and you kind of you yearn for something different.
Right. You just don't want to be like in a room just fighting a crowd of monsters. You want to fight them in different ways where they're presented differently, like where they teleport into the room, or they come out of a monster closet, or they're sniping you from a far distance.
Yeah, like different ways of pacing the experiences too. Like sometimes we have maps that you have to use every single kind of weapon to get through, or sometimes where you just need one of them and you're moving around like that. Was it courtyard where you start and you basically there's nowhere to run, and you have the 4 mancubus at the bottom. And then my favorite revenants up on the walls, and you just have to basically keep moving the whole time. It's not about ducking around corners and fighting with shotguns like Hunted was. It's just a matter of keeping moving enough and knowing where the health was so you can stay alive as you're taking out the enemies one by one. Like coming up with different experiences with the same tool set was always was what we really wanted to do.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. Really fun making it.
I noticed that like a lot more people. It seems like in the past, I don't know, maybe 5 years, probably less, probably 2 or 3 years. It seems like there's been a lot of people who you have your slaughter mappers, but then you have people who make. Some of them can be very kind of slaughterish, but they add a lot of like unique angles and like traps in there. And some of them, a lot of them don't even use like hordes and hordes of monsters. They use like like small tight groups that are just like
attacking
you in small spaces. Like, what was that one I was playing? I forget. It was like Sunlust, like Survive in Hell or something. Is that it, John?
It could be. Survive in Hell uses a lot of monsters, but Sunlust gets criticism for being a slaughter map, but it's really not. Or not a slaughter map.
That's a criticism.
Sunlust.
Yeah.
I love Sunlust. So.
The community is very divided.
That's the main what I'm referring to. It's not like a slaughter at all. It's like just got small groups of monsters in tight spaces.
Yeah, it has a very efficient use of monsters.
It's hard as fuck.
Yeah,
but it's not like a slaughter mod, not at all.
Right, because like there's different.
Slaughter was that was after Final Doom and before Quake. That was pretty much all that I would play. Is those slaughter was the Punisher and the Punisher 2 and stuff that Milo was doing. God, I just loved that. Was so much fun.
Yeah.
That's what I mainly play too.
Yeah, just getting like a rocket launcher and just plowing through like armies and armies of imps. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So entertaining.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about that. It's like I don't know. It doesn't matter how many times I played those. If I was bored for 15 minutes, I was like, I'm just going to do one of the Punisher maps.
Yeah.
Just run that.
Oh yeah.
I did something like that recently. I talked about it on another episode, but I made a map that I titled Therapy. It's just
nice.
And it's just revenants everywhere. It's just they're on ledges, they're on corners, they're on these pillars, and you just get a rocket launcher and an infinite supply of rockets, and you just blow them away and try not to die. And
I love the sound they make when they die. That's a really therapeutic sound.
Yeah, that cracking sound. Oh,
the bone breaking. Yeah,
just crumbling.
Doom was I don't know many games that have done a better job at soundscapes than Doom. The sound effects from the creatures is just really, really well done. Really clean soundscape. Everything stands out really well, and everything. The way that the monsters look is exactly how you'd think they'd sound. I think they did a really good job on that. And the weapons too.
Yeah,
sure. It's funny that you say that because I actually grew up. I played Doom on PC. Obviously first, but I had like a shareware disc or something, a shareware floppy, and I eventually got Doom for PlayStation. We bought it on PlayStation, and I was like 6 or 7 at the time, and I just played that. Like that was like my first like deep headfirst dive.
6 or 7, did you say?
Yeah, I was like 6 or 7. I mean, it was probably like 96, 97 that they released that port, 98 maybe, probably earlier, but yeah, and like still to this day, I add the PlayStation sound effects on all the WADs I play. I think those sound effects are just like more brutal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's something that I wish a lot of people got better these days in games.
Is what the sound design?
The sound effects. Like the character of the monsters and how well defined they were, and the sounds just really match their characters really well.
Yeah, the monsters in Doom 2 are just they're very distinct from one another. Because like you have like your zombie men, but you also have the imps, which are kind of like humanoid, but you can tell they're demonic because of their spikes and stuff. But then there's like 8 foot tall skeletons and like a fat guy with flamethrowers for arms. There's all kinds of crazy stuff.
I never gave the zombie men any love in those maps. I don't know why I just never used them.
Well, I'm glad you didn't, because we're like
dull,
yeah, they are. They go down easy, and the way they fire at you is like kind of unfair because you can't dodge their bullets. So like if you're basically in the presence of them, you have like pretty much a random shot of getting hit. It has nothing to do with how well you play. And
it's not that interesting because it doesn't do much to you.
Yeah, but you were pretty liberal with the chain gunners though in Plutonia.
Well, those guys are amazing because they do so much damage, and
I know
they're kind of hard to spot. And they never reload or anything like that, so it's just a constant barrage. Yeah, Milo used those a lot more than I did. So the maps that have walls of those guys, that wasn't me.
Yeah, chain gunners are awesome. They're just great at making you panic. When you know your screen's like all red and you're just taking damage, there's nothing. Yep. All you can do is run away to the nearest corner.
Nice thing is they die easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you didn't use too many zombie men because that's actually like one of my biggest qualms with Evolution. I feel like even in like the levels in the mid-20s, you're still fighting like zombie men every corner you turn. I mean, I played through it a couple times, but I just never.
Well, you know why that? Do you know why that happened though? Because so I completely agree with you. I think there are way more exciting Doom experiences than Zombie Men, but I think the reason that happened was they didn't. I don't know how much attention was paid to progression through that set of WODs. I think it was a lot of people wanting to get their map in, and it wasn't necessarily, well, we're going to progress the difficulty from beginning to end. So I think you may have had some maps that are like 20 maps in. The guy who was making it wasn't really sure where in the episode it was going to be, so he didn't know really how hard to make it. And Milo and I definitely copped a lot of crap about how difficult our maps were from the TNT guys. So they might have been a little shy to throw the really big challenges in there.
So like the maps that you used,
we weren't worried about that.
Yeah, the maps that you used in Plutonia, they weren't like designed with any particular order in mind.
Oh no, they were.
Oh, they were.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plutonia. I was talking about Evolution. They weren't.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I don't think they were. In Plutonia, they absolutely were. Yeah, because remember, it told us to build all of these maps in 3 months, so we knew exactly what we had to do, what had to happen to finish the map pack off. So we knew exactly how many maps to make and how to make them progress in difficulty. So we had that luxury.
Oh, okay. Well,
I like the groups. There's like I believe there's 4 groups or something like that of different themes. There's the first 6 are like Earth, and then you get the later Earth, and then you have like you go to Hell. You know what I mean? Then you kind of go to like, it's just cool how it
we try to do that too. We try to tie some theme differences or theme progressions from front to back.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It makes it a lot more interesting to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It doesn't feel just like a random assortment. More of a a connected episode.
Yeah, I don't really like. I mean, I'm not against them, but WODs that kind of like mega WODs. 32 levels that just kind of stick to like the same theme. To try to keep things consistent. I mean, it's all right. I mean, as long as the gameplay is good, but there's better things you can do. You can switch the themes up. I think more people are doing it though. Have been doing it for the past couple of years though.
Yeah, that's the thing with like these community projects and stuff. That does happen sometimes, where like people will like make a map and they're not sure where it's going to land, so they just make something that's like for the middle. So like you play through like 32 levels and like they're all pretty much the same level of difficulty. And
if you think about how the WODs are made, if somebody really wants their work included, but they're not really sure where it's going to be, they're going to optimize for it to be safest.
Yeah.
But that's detrimental to the quality of like progression and having some differentiation within the WOD.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a battle that comes up because like when you're working on your own project, you can kind of control like how the progression works. But like when you're working with a bunch of different people and everybody has like they have like an equal stake in the project, it's hard to like decide how things are supposed to go.
Yeah, and you can manage that too. You can just organize people's work, and it's possible to do it that way.
Yeah,
I think back in those particular days, there wasn't quite as much organization. I don't know.
Is there like when you like work on projects and stuff like for Valve and stuff like that? I guess there's like there's probably some sort of like structure, like people doing their specific jobs and stuff, and like how does that I'm not sure exactly what question to ask, but like how does that work in like a more like commercial environment, like where it's like kind of like a business? Do people like all like do they get to like contribute to the game experience as much as they want, or is there like a leader that decides how things go, or how does that work?
No, at Valve in particular, it's not the one guy in charge model. It's everybody responsible for their contribution, and those contributions aren't arbitrarily constrained in any way. More like they're constrained just by your abilities and your desire to contribute.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty organic.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, we don't have defined roles where you're an artist, so you don't get to come to the game design meetings, or you're a programmer, so you don't get to talk about level design. So we have pretty. Don't really have those borders of
it's pretty fluid. That sounds cool. That's good.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, that kind of atmosphere encourages people to try different things and contribute in different ways. And when you do that, you get to understand other people's skill sets and respect them a lot more when you try them.
That's pretty cool. That's good to hear, because I actually wanted to, when I was much younger, I wanted to get into game design, but like there's like so many big companies right now. I would imagine if you're like working on a game with like 100 other people, you don't get to do anything that you want to do.
I hear it is like that in some circumstances.
Yeah.
I guess the more people on a project, the more difficult it's going to be to orchestrate or to make sure that everybody has the contributions that they want. But thankfully I've never been on a project that's had 100 people on it, so I can't tell you what that's like.
That's good.
The most people on a project that I've been on, maybe 50 or 60 at most.
Yeah. It's still a lot, though. I mean, I guess I don't know. Maybe not.
So what we usually do, if we have that many people on a project, what we'll do is we'll break into little subgroups that have representatives from each skill set in the project. So we'll have, say, a group of 7 people. There'll be a couple of artists, level designers, programmers, animators, and we'll be responsible for a section of the game. And then we'll talk to other parts of or other little groups that are responsible for other pieces of the game. But we have our ownership of our section, and everything that goes through there and all of the work that happens there is under our control. So it's still, even with 50 or 60 people, it's still not a matter of, you have your one little role, and then you just have to kind of keep your head down and focus just that.
It gives you a lot of freedom.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, that's good to hear, because that's one of the things that's most attractive to me about designing levels for Doom. Is not only because Doom is like pretty easy to work with, but you kind of have like full autonomy of what you want to create, and like the level design, like actually like drawing the sectors and stuff, you can create any shapes that you want. You can pretty much make any kind of architecture that you want to create, and it's pretty quick and easy, and you get like full control, and you can really make your like visions come to life. And that's so fascinating.
That's what I loved about the Plutonia era.
Yeah.
Was that exact thing.
Yeah, you get kind of control of like what you want to do, and I don't really know much about like what it's like to work in like a video game, because I'm an accountant. I mean, I'm not actually an accountant. I work in this company where I do payroll for security officers. Like security officers that work in like hospitals and shopping malls and stuff like that. And
cool.
Yeah, so I have like a pretty boring job, and I come home, I'll make Doom maps and stuff just to like kind of get away, and that's just like my own like, hobby. That definitely
sounds like me in 1994. I had a very boring job too, and I would do Doom editing to get away from it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people use Doom as like kind of an escape, and to kind of like be in control, and like kind of it's a lot like writing or like creating a piece of art. In the way, like just creating your own worlds and playing Doom and causing all kinds of destruction inside of them.
Well, gentlemen, I am going to have to leave you very shortly here.
Okay.
It's coming up at 9:30. Are you guys on the East Coast? Are you 12:30?
Yeah, it's 12:30 right now. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's okay.
So it's not that late where I am, but I have a couple of things I need to get done before night's over.
Well, I understand you're a busy guy.
Do you have anything else you want to chat about before we say goodbye?
Well, yeah, actually. Well, would you consider making Doom maps again?
Ooh, that's a great question.
There's the reason I ask is there's been like new map editors that came out, and some of them are like really efficient. There's the one that I use is called GZ Doom Builder, and you can design maps very fast.
Let me write this down.
GZ Doom Builder. And
what do you call it? Easy.
G is in giraffe.
GZ Doom what?
Doom Builder.
Builder.
And it's a very cool thing, and it's very fast, and it has a lot of like automated features too. So you can build stairs really fast, and technology today, you can build nodes in like a second. I know, like back in like the 1990s, it probably took like a half hour or so.
Oh yeah, those green bars. I remember watching those for hours.
Yeah, you don't have to do that anymore. And there's a lot of source ports for Doom that make it very accessible. So even if things that you might like, you probably had to deal with like visplane overflows and save game buffers and stuff when you were working on.
Definitely, yeah, line def overflows and stuff. I had some of those.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Nice.
Well, some people still do. They like to work within those constraints. I used to. I personally don't anymore, though. I did have. Oh, I had another question for you. I don't have a source to back this up, but I remember reading somewhere somebody said that they heard that you like submitted like a short episode or something to id Software before you got the okay for Plutonia. Was that just more maps from Plutonia? Is there anything like that was in Plutonia or that was going to be in Plutonia that got rejected or something like that?
So it was, I think it was 8 maps that I submitted to Sean Green, and maybe it was American. I think it was American McGee actually. I think I sent him the maps. Maybe I sent them both. Anyway, there's about 8 maps, and we had them prior to TNT, and I think at least a couple of them, maybe 3, maybe 4, were supposed to be in TNT, and they got removed for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't remember from back then. And
do you think they might have been? Do you think they might have been released elsewhere?
Say again?
Do you think they might have been released elsewhere, like some like available to download?
No, I don't think so.
Do you think you still have them?
Well, these 8 maps ended up in Final Doom.
Okay. Oh, okay. So there were some maps that were going to be in Plutonia that landed in TNT?
The other way around. We had submitted these to TNT, and they were in there, and then they got rejected. I think maybe they were too difficult or something like that. And then I was about to lose my internet connection because I was quitting that job. So I thought, well, I'll just do this Hail Mary thing. I'll just send them to id and see what they say. And there were 8 of those, and probably half of them were taken from TNT. Half of them were just little projects that we were doing by ourselves. But yeah, I think all of them went into Plutonia in some form or another. We probably had to edit them, change them up. Okay.
Well, yeah. Seriously, consider making maps again, or even if not, I mean, we use the Doomworld forums all the time. Do you have an account with Doomworld? You should try
Doomworld forums. Okay, let me write this down too.
Yeah, if you could just like stop by, say hi once in a while. We would love that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people who are huge fans of your work, and it would be cool to hear your input.
Included.
I'll definitely load up that Doom Builder and see what it feels like to go play around with sectors and things again.
Yeah, it might be a little different than what you're used to, but it's pretty fast and efficient.
I bet it would feel therapeutic.
Yeah, we do things like like speed mapping competitions where like you get like 1 hour to make a map, and people have made some pretty awesome stuff in 1 hour. So
that's pretty intense.
Yeah.
Unless you already have an idea, that could be pretty intimidating.
Yeah, I cheat. I plan my maps out ahead of time, and then I work out.
So you have in reserve waiting for that Doom that contest. You're like, oh yeah, next time we have 1 hour, I know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun.
Well, it was a lot of fun talking to you, man.
By, and then maybe I'll load up the Doom Builder first, and then I'll stop by and say hi.
Yeah.
Drop us a map when you stop by.
If you feel like it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Awesome. Yeah, we'll see how much time I have on my hands now. I'm not building my house in virtual reality. Probably have a lot of time.
Nice.
That's awesome. Okay, well, thanks again for being here, Dario. It was really awesome.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, and if you ever want to be on the show again, I'd love to have you again. It would be great.
How do I get a link to the podcast?
Well, okay, so I have a YouTube channel, World Extermination Radio. Just search for that. I have like over 50 episodes, I think, by now.
World Extermination Radio?
Yes, World Extermination Radio. And I have you can download the individual MP3s in the YouTube descriptions if you want to listen to them like on an MP3 player or something.
Oh yeah, okay.
And I also have a thread on Doomworld, but I usually just use that to post when I'm going live. And then I have a Twitch channel. I have a twitch.tv/J40 ounce. It's J_40OZ.
Okay, I'm writing this down as you're saying this.
It's
Royal Extermination Radio. I don't see that on YouTube. Why do I not see that? Have I got that right?
Yeah, World Extermination Radio.
I'm gonna post a link, and I'll post a link in Skype for you.
Yeah, we'll get you.
I see it. Yep, I got it. I found it.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Cool.
Yeah, we'll get the show uploaded shortly. And so yeah, thanks again for being on the show, man. It was really awesome. And
I really had a fun time. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, and yeah, keep us updated with what you're doing next, whatever you're working on, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we'll be announcing it at some point pretty soon, I think.
That's awesome. I'm really excited to hear about that.
Cool. Well, Have a great night. What's left of it?
All right.
Yeah, for sure. You too, man.
Thank you, Dario.
Bye.
And thank you, Space Marines, for listening. And we'll get you caught up on more episodes. We got more episodes coming. Tomorrow, I'll be talking to Eris Falling from Doomworld. And on Sunday, I'll be talking to Blade of Agony's Tormentor 667. So thank you guys for listening. And check out more episodes when we do them more this weekend.
Hell yeah.
All right. Thank you, Splatterhouse, for coming on the show, too, man. It was awesome.
Hell yeah. It's always fun, man.
All right. See you guys later.
Peace.